New tonight, Ethan Couch has been arrested again. He became infamous as a teenager 7 years ago when he got drunk, crashed his car, and killed 4 people. And while he didn't serve jail time for that case, he's been in trouble with police several times since then. Alex Rozier is live in Fort Worth. Why is Ethan Couch back in jail?
Yeah, Ethan failed a drug test testing positive for THC, and that is why, Chris, he's here at the Tarrant County Jail tonight. I want to show you some video we just got into our newsroom just a few minutes ago showing Couch being booked into jail early this afternoon. But tonight, there are still questions about what is next for Ethan Couch.
Every time Ethan's been given an opportunity or given any kind of break or any part of the justice system has decided to give him any level of trust that he's going to abide by the law, he's proven he's not deserving of it. These things.
And we spoke with Richard Alpert. He prosecuted the case that brought Couch in the national spotlight. In 2013, Ethan killed 4 people in a drunk driving crash and was dubbed the Affluenza teen after a psychologist claimed his wealthy upbringing stopped him from knowing right from wrong. His initial sentence, 10 years probation. He's violated that probation a couple times now. The latest violation came out today after testing positive for THC. This is really now in the hands of the district attorney. What will they do with his latest offense? We'll soon find out.
If he's in custody, they have about 20 days to decide what they're going to do with the case. So within that time period, I think a decision is going to be made about whether or not this is going to move forward to a petition to revoke or whether he's going to be released.
And Ethan is now 22 years old. Less than 5 minutes ago, we received a statement from his attorneys. I want to read you that in part, saying Ethan has been intensely monitored for alcohol and illegal substance use, including wearing the required patch for more than 20 months and has never been positive for the use of any substance before. The bottom line is this. His attorney is saying they want to investigate before they determine if he really did ingest THC and if it was a voluntary act, as they say. Either way, right now, Ethan Couch back in custody here tonight at the Tarrant County Jail. Reporting live in Fort Worth, I'm Alex Rozier.